and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of the streaming platforms, public access channels, the Kitty Rose lifestyle, or the program underwriters.
Tim's on my feet, stomping out the negativity. Everybody not a friend of me. Spread the love, still I move deliberately. Bully face on, but the smile be heavenly. Brooklyn girls, so they love the energy, love sincerity. So I take the liberty to take them on a journey lyrically through hallways and alleys.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Next Chapter, where we discuss shades of gray. I am your host, Minister Cat, aka Kitty Rose, and today is going to be a special segment, a special show. That's why you're going to see things look a little different today because, you know, I've said in the past that this ain't nothing but a therapy session for me. And there's some things I'm going through that I felt like I wanted to discuss with you all. So I brought some folks down today to have this one-on-one kind of intimate conversation about, you know, this kind of topic I wanted to discuss with you. So welcome, hold on, get your snacks because it's going to be a good one. I say that every week. So let me tell you guys what this week's topic of the week is, okay? Now, it's a general statement, but we're going to dive into it. So this week's topic of the week is, can couples have friendships of the opposite sex? Dun, dun, dun. So yes, everyone, I have with me today two of, I want to say, you know, friends and people who are becoming friends, you know, people who are becoming friends. Let me introduce you to you guys. You guys have seen them from when I was doing natural sessions to The Next Chapter, and now he's back on again on this intimate conversation. My man, my brother, Tariq Buds. Let's welcome him. And today, usually I have, you know, Shaniqua Charles working behind the scenes, but today I wanted her perspective as a woman. So let's also introduce Shaniqua Charles to The Next Chapter, everyone. Yes, let me see her picture. Let's clap, clap, clap for Shaniqua and Tariq. Thank you, guys. Tariq is from Puzzle Marketing, you know, because we do have to plug in our businesses. And Shaniqua, she doesn't know this, but I put Miss Abby's kids because at the end of the day, that's what she represents with everything that she does, along with Puzzle Marketing and all the different things that he does. And Tariq just came literally off of business, work, vacation. So I want to thank him for rolling out of bed and coming and joining us today. Because yes, I wanted to ask the question to two people who I know are in relationships first, but on different type of relationships. Mm-hmm. So can couples have friendships of the opposite sex? So Tariq is married, you know, been in a relationship for some time, but recently married. You guys are under 5 years married, right?
6.
Okay.
And we've been together 14.
14, and then you are recently in your relationship, just under 3 years.
3 and going into 4.
Okay, so the one thing that I love about this conversation we're about to have is that Tariq and I, we're friends, but we're not friends, if that makes sense. But it's definitely a love for community, which connects us. So we have that friendship, that kinship. But we have a friendship that is growing because we've met now. We're maybe coming up to 6, 7, 8 years, right? And we support each other in each other's businesses. I have been to your home. So, you know, folks, everybody doesn't get that privilege. So I know I do hold a place. We don't hang out yet, you know what I'm saying? But I know that if years come, that we will, you know what I'm saying? You and I recently met, instantly had a kinship.
Instantly.
Again, based on community, being both women who believe in the village, have had a respect from each other from a business and producer point of view for the last, 6, 8 months now that we've met each other. So I'd say those things to say that you guys aren't going to co-sign me today, okay? You're not representing Kat. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because these are fresh and relationships that don't necessarily have history where it's like, oh, whatever you say, Kat, we can all stand on our own opinion about what we're getting ready to talk about with this conversation. Can I say
Absolutely.
that? Can the church say amen?
Amen.
All right, so Tariq, as a married man who has female friends or female relationships, can couples have friends of the opposite sex? Do you?
I don't necessarily have friends, and I'm glad you started it like you started it, because a lot of times I meet people from the opposite sex in my business, and we become cordial, like you and I. You just said, we may not be friends, but we're really close, and we're cool, and we're comfortable, and that's usually how I engage women as a married man.
Okay.
I develop a relationship, I develop a business, mostly, relationship, and then we help one another. That's why I'm here today. It never gets to a point where it's more than just that. Women don't call me 10, 11, 12 o'clock, 12 a.m. for a conversation. It's usually for something business-wise,
Right.
which is fine. Because as entrepreneurs, our business is 24/7.
Right.
Now, Elon Musk or Bill Gates, their business is 24/7. It's their business. So they have to do it all the time. So I have to do it all the time. I don't necessarily engage in personal conversations with women at 10, 11, 12, but I could get that call.
Did your wife make you feel that way or condition you that way? Was it your father? Was it other examples? Was it something innately you just said?
It's innate. It's innate. Honestly, nobody taught me that. It's not. It's not necessary, especially if you're dealing in a relationship. Like there are boundaries that you know not to cross in a relationship, but as an entrepreneur, or not even just as an entrepreneur, just as a person, you are going to have female relationships as a man. They just can't go but so far.
Woo, child.
Can the congregation give it up for the brother and his representation?
Yes, Lord.
How it should go.
I want to ask you the same question, but before asking you the same question, I want to show you let me ask you that question, and then I'm going to show you this scenario. Can couples have friends of the opposite sex?
So people who are in relationships can absolutely have colleagues, work people, comrades, and all of the like that are the opposite sex. And those relationships are truly defined by the tenets by which you lay down in your own relationship situation.
What do you mean?
So, for example, I happen to just be old school and old fashioned. Male friends are not going to call me past a certain hour. We're not going to be engaging in conversations that are so emotionally deep that it then trumps the place of whoever's partner. I have very firm boundaries. Do you walk around announcing these boundaries?
I don't have
to announce them because it's in how I represent myself.
Carry yourself. Yes.
It's in how I represent myself. And so, as it pertains to my king, I think most men know and understand that, first of all, access to us is a privileged access. That's first and foremost, right? So if we're respecting ourselves, whether there's a person there or not, that's privileged access. And that's how I operate, period. So if in a relationship that I'm focused on, that is, supposed to be a serious relationship, then the people that are around me, the people that come in contact, they're not even comfortable rolling up. And for the couple that have, it's a very much so polite, like, Like, you know, that ain't even high roll. And however it is that you have to preface that conversation in order to protect the integrity of what you're trying to create is paramount.
I noticed the both of you, and I would love to show these pictures, that you don't hide your relationships. They're not the most public. Like, it took me a minute to find even a picture of you and your wife together, because your social media, which I love the fact that both of your social media is about your business.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? It's not really about your personal life. You know, it's tidbits that I might snippet share as a flyby, but my main purpose of my social media page is always going to be about my business. So when I found the pictures of your relationships, what I liked about the second image was it was in what you do. So it's not like she's attached. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't do the business with you, but you bring her along. When you're traveling and it could be a situation that you can bring your wife, and you'll show that, yes, I'm with my wife. You don't see me with a bunch of different women in different pictures. And it was the same for the images that I saw of you. I picked the images of you guys where he's not really the forefront, it's really you. So I was like, oh, I like that. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't, again, about your partners. It was more about the fact that you weren't hiding your partners. You know, and I'm not saying that I'm being hidden. I don't think it's anything like that. But I think that even, unfortunately, when partners aren't hidden, then is it now the responsibility of the so-called friend of the opposite sex to be mindful or respectful?
Absolutely.
Because I know when I speak to you, if it's not the first question, the second one is always, how's your queen?
And that's how it should be.
And I half the time don't even remember her name. But I know innate me, I'm not going to not speak to him and ask about his wife.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Somali is my best friend.
And I think that's probably why I get that vibe, because I got that vibe from day one. You know what I'm saying? I got that vibe from I didn't get a vibe of a possessive woman. But not to say anything is even wrong with that. But I got the vibe that she was the homie, but not. Like, don't get it twisted. I put on a dress and put some heels on. But I got that feeling, you know what I'm saying? And I think maybe that's one of the reasons why it works, you know? So I wanted to set up a scenario, a situation that I saw a few years back. I don't tell nobody, but I watch reality TV. And I watch the Housewives. And one of the particular Housewives, the black ones, the Married to Medicine, was a couple. The Married to Medicine is about doctors who are married. And one of the couples was on the brink of divorce. And not necessarily because the love had been lost, but trying times of any relationship that is going through a course of 10 plus years. So I want to show you guys 2 parts of this video, and then we'll come back and discuss it. Okay? Let's take a look.
What did you think I was going to do?
When he left out the door, did you ask him why he left?
It doesn't matter. I knew where he was going. I asked him not to go. He chose to go anyway.
Was it like a golf trip?
No, he has a best friend that's a woman that I feel is a big time manipulator. And what I had asked him,
do you feel that the two of them have feelings for each other?
No, it's not a physical relationship.
Oh.
But as a buddy, as a golfing buddy, as a sports buddy, as a buddy.
That could be the wife.
That kind of relationship. So nobody needs to tell me.
So they're not romantic. They're not romantic. Y'all take a look at Shaniqua's face. They're not romantic. Play the next video.
Years complaining to Cecil that I didn't like the relationship with his friend Tammy.
He invited her to spend Christmas with us. She was at my house for 8 days, and she resides in Atlanta. There was no need for her to pack a bag and stay 8 days at my house.
Over the years, I think he's definitely given way more to Tammy, emotional, than he's given to me. I don't know how we got to that place. While I'm married to somebody, I'm laying in bed next to somebody. who refuses to understand where I'm coming from.
I don't get it when it's not a situation where I'm out here doing this with this friend by myself.
You went to dinner by your mother self.
I did.
Last year, Cecil decided that he wanted to have dinner with her, and I had a rough week. My uncle was in the hospital very sick. I needed him to be home with me. You're not acknowledging it. You're not validating it. All you're doing is on the defensive and trying to defend some other motherfucker. It doesn't work, Cecil. It doesn't work. He made a decision that his friendship with her was way more important than I could ever be.
I mean, like, if you've hung
Don't make excuses, because if you're gonna continue to make excuses, we're never gonna get anywhere.
I'm not making excuses.
You are making excuses for a bitch who didn't give a about my marriage, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired. I can't do it with you anymore. I wrote a love letter. I can't even read to you.
Now, before we discuss, they made it. 2024, the last reunion that came, the host asked the husband, Cecil, did he end the friendship? And he said yes. After that last reunion, he ended, he never saw the woman again. So he did end the friendship eventually, and they have made it through, and they're a successful Black couple right now doing the damn thing. So let's go back though to the first video when it was being introduced about a woman who was friends with her husband that was just a buddy. But then we see in the second video where she gets to express to herself, she felt disrespectful for a woman who did not give a F about her feelings.
Right.
Feedback, discuss.
Well, I have a mouthful
Okay.
to say on that.
And before you speak, Tariq's face or feeling was like your face, but the camera cut to the video, so.
Right. So first and foremost, I think that women that enter into any kind of friendship or camaraderie with a man where there's known to be a relationship, there's a place that we play in that. Because I got tons of colleagues. I grew up a tomboy, let's just be clear, right? I grew up a tomboy. The majority of my friends are men. Boys, men, last 20, 30, 40, blah, 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 years, okay, you know. Thank you, mommy, for rubbing the pee-pee diaper on my face. But what I'm saying is that there is a particular role in which we are supposed to be upholding each other. So first and foremost, if one of my homeboys, comrades, co-workers, or whoever has a significant other, my role in that person's life is not to place any kind of tension or questioning or any of that in the other woman's head. So you would think that most people were raised the same, but what we know is that most people are not raised the same. And so you have women who will test, women who will be disrespectful, women who will
Or people.
I'm specifically talking about heterosexual man-woman relationships because that's what I know about. I'm not saying that the rules don't apply.
No, I wasn't meaning even general that way. Because we are talking about men and women. We are talking on that level. So I was just saying that the rule don't apply for just a woman's behavior. The man
but
should
also the man's behavior. So I've experienced that too, where the man is not being as forthcoming as he needs to be, or thinks that he can actually confide in another woman those things that are close to the heart. And my experience in that is, no, brother, you have a partner, and your partner is for those things. And if there are things outside of the realm that you believe your partner can handle, it's not in the hands of another woman, because unfortunately, whether you entered into it honestly or earnestly, like, damn, I just need some advice from somebody, and this is the person here, even though we're together longer than you've even known this particular individual, you are not, it is a disrespect to the relationship to be putting your emotional currency in another entity when your woman is there. You know what I'm saying? And if that's the fact, well, then y'all go get some counseling, or y'all go get some therapy together, or y'all go get a bipartisan third party that can shed some light to you both, where the end result is not now you spending more time with this woman than you are with your own woman. That's what causes the problem.
Well, I mean, I concur
Right.
with basically
Right.
everything that she's saying.
Wow.
I mean, because relationships are fragile.
Already, right.
And understanding your spouse, for me, but your boyfriend or your girlfriend it actually takes an understanding on yourself. Like, you have to understand that you have to respect these people as much as you respect yourself. I don't really go through these issues. My wife and I constantly talk about each other to other people. So throughout my workday, throughout everything I'm doing, I'm always talking about my wife.
Wow.
Constantly. But I mean, because it just comes out. It's natural.
She's a part of you.
Yeah, she's a part of me.
That's right.
So, quite often at my present job, I meet people from all around the world. And the moment that I hear that they are from Florida, I'm like, oh man, wow, I used to live in Florida. I lived in Miami. I went to FIU. That's where I met my wife. I always do this. That's where I met my wife. That's my best friend. I almost look for reasons to talk about her.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
Like this is constant. This is every day though.
Wow.
And she does the same thing.
Right.
She's at her job. Everybody that she works with knows her husband. They know so many things about me. I'm kind of concerned sometimes. Like, well, they don't need to know all that, but they know us.
Amen.
And they know that we're comfortable. So I don't usually, as a married man, I usually don't get people trying to intrude on the relationship just because people understand how important it is to me. If I've just met you and I'm just now knowing you, you need to know how important she is to me. So it doesn't even give room most of the time for people to even intrude or try or think, okay, no, all he talks about is her. Why would he do something different than her?
And that's how it should be.
On that, we can take our first break of the night.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
We was talking, and they was trying to stop because the cameras was coming back. But that was a beautiful last segment, you know what I mean? And I can concur to that testimony because when I was married, I do think that not only do you set the tone, but people do have a respect that's a little different when you're married, and that ring, and you're mentioning your husband or your wife, because I don't remember being tested as much with my husband as I am with my boyfriend. You know what I mean? With my boyfriend. And the reason why I feel like I'm tested with my boyfriend or with my current man or my current partner is because of this next video. All right? The setup. So let's go to this next video and then we'll come back and talk about it.
I don't know, man. A lot of women here tonight. That's good. I like women. My mother's a woman. That helps. You know one cool thing about women? Women get to have platonic friends. He's my pal. He's my bud. He's my platonic friend. I love him like a brother. He's my bud, my platonic friend. Men don't have platonic friends, okay? We just have women we haven't fucked yet. As soon as I figure this out, I'm in there. We got some platonic friends, but oh no, I got some, but they all by accident. Every platonic friend I got is some woman I was trying to fuck. I made a wrong turn somewhere and ended up in the friend zone. Oh no, I'm in the friend zone.
Now, obviously, that's not accurate because we're friends, and I'm not waiting to do anything. I don't think you're waiting. No, I know you're not waiting to do anything. But a part of me, a reason why I pulled this video is because I kind of do feel like when you have men or women that are trying to be friends or so-called friends with people who they know are in relationships, a part of me do feel like they're just waiting in the cut for their chance and their opportunity.
That is
Totally.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I think the friend zone, I mean, that was created by women. Like, men, like you just heard, men don't have people in the friend zone. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not break in case of emergency. That's definitely something that women do.
And that was the other part of the video, the just in case.
Yes, just in case. That's just because I've seen that a bunch of times.
Okay.
Right, so, but I do feel like, because if there's somebody that's attracted to me, I'm definitely gonna be very candid about the situation, and so there's not a friend zone. We're just cool.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're not waiting, hoping.
Right.
Because there is no hope.
Right.
There is no
Right.
hope, and that's what the friend zone is all about. Is that the hope that someday I could get in there, but there is no hope.
So I have a bond with you that's different from your wife. I have a bond with you that's different from your man, you know? So I can only express that with you, you know? So I'm not trying to, step on your relationship. I know that I'm not your bestie, you know what I'm saying? But Tariq, you and I understand, this cannabis life, So I'm talking to you at 10 o'clock at night because I'm struggling, with this cannabis life.
And wife knows who you are if y'all are talking.
And that's what it is.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. It's not more than that.
So what if wife said, I love Cat, but tell Cat not to call him no more at 10 o'clock at night.
You ain't calling at 10 o'clock no more.
There it is.
It's that simple.
That's how it should be. Now, that's from the man's perspective.
Okay.
From the woman's perspective,
Please speak.
It has been difficult at times asserting what the boundaries that are to be respected are, to be perfectly honest. So, I'm in a relationship with a person who has different thought processes than I do.
Okay.
Okay, and so, there's been times when I'm like, okay, I believe this person is crossing a boundary. I'm not comfortable with it. And this is what I need you to do in order to ensure that we are on the same page. And that's not always followed.
Okay.
And when it's not followed, it causes a rift in what the expectation is. Even though I learned many years ago not to lead with expectations because those point to disappointments, but you can have clear and defined boundaries that allow you to operate in optimal standards.
Okay, what do you mean?
In other words...
So give me an example of a boundary.
So an example is you have 24 hours in a day, right? You don't necessarily need to be on a phone call at midnight talking about things that you could be talking about.
So what would be the
during
cutoff
day.
time?
Whatever we decide.
Okay.
If our downtime is what you decide. So if our downtime is 10:30, 11, 11:30, I have already seized business. And if business has to proceed past that point, my people are on speakerphone.
I'm calling to check on your mother. I'm calling to check on your father.
My mother and my father are not your concern at midnight. My mother and first of all, they both dead. So if you're calling about your mother, we got a little bit of a problem.
We got bigger issues.
We got bigger issues. Like the people that keep sending me urgent mail from my dad, mama, could you stop them? But those kind of emotional tether points are not supposed to be during the hours in which we've decided is our downtime, our family time, our building time, our growing time. And those things are decided by me and you as the people that are in the relationship. And again, you know, I'm kind of old school, I'm old fashioned. I got homies that are real homies that extend decades. And even when in serious committed relationships, my homies know this is my king. And so for
And they
those
respect
reasons,
that.
and they respect that. So there is no, right. And if for some reason something
don't.
is so pressing that it
Okay.
is after the hours, because we're using that as the loose example,
Right,
right?
right,
The
right.
hours, right? You on speakerphone. And we all in this conversation together. Because I'm laying next to my man, okay, you talking to me about this new housing development that's going up and how it's gonna not serve the people, and okay, X, Y, and Z. But my king is already aware of you, number one, if you're that relevant in my life.
Right.
Two, rule number two for me personally, no new friends. If we together 3 years and this person comes in a year later, year and a half, 2 years later, honey, you don't trump me. And if in his life you believe that you do, that's a conversation that we need to seriously be having, because my feelings should be the most paramount here, because I'm not an insecure woman.
Woo!
So if I'm not an insecure woman and I
Right.
have put my foot down
Right.
about something that's making me feel uncomfortable, those things really need to be taken
Take
into, because
priority.
I don't need to put my foot down about anything,
Nope.
because we know each other,
We
right?
are who we are.
We are who we are and we do what we do. So if I've got to say, oh no, but this ain't right, and there's been a trifling one or two, I will leave them nameless. But there have been a trifling one or two that have actually felt comfortable enough to even say things to my partner that is disparaging to me.
Wow.
Could you even imagine?
Wow.
So, on that note, what I say is that the bond between you and the partner, whether husband, future husband, going to be the person that you know is going to be the one, those things really have to be determined. And if y'all are not on the same page, because everybody's raised differently, and I understand that too, sometimes it's all right to pivot and say, this is not for me right now. Because if I'm choosing my peace over the pleasure, that's what keeps me whole. I came in whole.
Amen.
Yeah.
On that note, let's take another break.
Good job.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
You know, a lot of people say when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. I can't lie and say it was easy. I looked at everything in a different light. I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
Yeah, I know. Wait, yeah, you just look at that. It's so sad.
I hope you guys are taking notes, okay? I hope you guys are taking notes. And remember, I told you, these aren't my bosom buddies. You know what I'm saying? I didn't coach them beforehand. They're speaking their truth, and I have to applaud them for speaking their truth because I agree with them. And that's the point of, I think, this show, is that we have to realize that there should be a script that we're following. You know what I'm saying? There should be most things should be innate. But if they're not, then our unfortunate jobs as spiritual healers, as light givers, is to lead by example, is to show by example. You know, I didn't have to check myself on how I was going to behave with you because it was done by you already. Not even on purpose where you had to announce it, I'm married. But it was even just a vibe that you gave me. You know what I'm saying? Before I might have even met your wife or knew that there was a woman or partner involved, it was no blurred messaging in our interaction. You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes that, we try to make things different from what they are because we want to make things more pleasing to us. But if things are what they are, then we wouldn't have these conversations of shades of gray and these black and white issues because it should be black and white. But unfortunately, it isn't because we might want to be flattered by the response or the attraction of others. You know, we always think men suffer with that. But could it also be something with women that we need? Like, what about those women who, you know, you go into situations and yes, you know, I'm not looking to go into fight, but I know that I got a mouth on me. So if I start a situation, I know that my man will be the one to fight. But it's, you know, just those weird types of thinking. So maybe when it comes to us dating, we're saying, well, I'm not doing anything with her. I'm not doing anything with him. You know, I don't have problems with men calling me at a certain time or that because I have already set the tone. And because everyone knows about the men in my life, you know what I'm saying? So you always know when I'm with someone, especially if it's serious, you know who's in my life. So you're not going to cross. And if you happen to cross, then I shut it down.
Right.
You know, so what happens when we don't shut it down? And so it's not entirely that other person's, because a part of me have wanted to, like, what happens in those situations where the woman is calling the other woman, you know, or the man is calling the other man? Is it now the responsibility of the opposite sex or the responsibility of that person? Because my best friend is someone that is a male friend. I've known him since 17, not as long as I've known my female best friend. But again, I don't hide him. You know, I was with him a couple of weeks ago, and when we went up, me and my boyfriend was video chatting. I was like, hey, look at I'm with Brandon. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to know who I'm with, and when I'm leaving, the same way the checks and balances in regular life, I'm going to have that when I'm with my peoples. The same way if I was hanging out with my female friends. So what happens, I know I went to the left because I got personal, but what happens when you don't set the boundaries or you don't nip it?
Then your partner will.
Boo-boo.
Your partner will. Even if it's directly to the other person or if it's coming to you saying, you need to shut this down.
But can we tell our partners that we want a relationship?
Sure. I mean, especially if
we should be able to.
I mean, if, as she was saying earlier, we've been together 3 years, you just met this person 2 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? Why is that person so special? Yeah, that you have to talk to them or you have to spend time with them. You don't.
We're all three of us are very spiritual people. I don't think any of us are religious. I don't think any of us conform to necessarily a particular denomination. So as spiritual beings, as people who include Jehovah, God, Allah in your life, how do you keep that on the forefront of your relationship or in your relationship when it comes to platonic or outside friendship? You say you don't have them, which I love. You know what I'm saying? But you do have relationships.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So how, if at any, does your spiritual relationship connect to how you move in your romantic relationship?
Well, for me, that's first and foremost. I'm guided by the Spirit every decision that I make, period. So if you're in a relationship with me, you knew that coming into the relationship because that was probably a bonding point. So if you know that as a bonding point, then you also know not to play with spiritual people. Don't play with people that have spiritual gifts. There are things that I've seen in my ether that I have brought to light, you know, while we're awake and walking around in the 3D version of who we are, you know, and it's hard sometimes to get another person to understand that. But for me personally, what I've come to realize and totally understand and be totally cool and comfortable with is that, you know, I'm a roller skater. I don't know if anybody of you roller skate.
I used to roller skate a
Roller
lot.
skate?
Yeah.
I can.
You ever had somebody coming towards you all wild and crazy while you was in your groove doing your thing, and you had to pivot out their way because if they knocked you down, they might break something. It's called the pivot,
Right.
For a reason.
Okay.
And I gets to pivot in real quick. Okay, you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because the ancestors done told me, they done already showed me. So by the time I'm coming to you with it, it's because I've already seen. And I'm trying to confirm whether or not we are actually in alignment.
And just FYI, I should have started out by saying this was the Jesus moment. Because this is the Jesus moment of the, like, how do we bring the spirituality component? Because again, leading by example, we think this is innate for us. But unfortunately, it's not for others. So us by leading by example, it's just not us by our regular human skin that they can see, but our spiritual beings that walk this plane, you know what I'm saying, and how we represent ourselves is not how we represent ourselves just in our marriage or our relationship. This is who I am. Period. Right. So again, not to repeat anything, but just again from a male perspective as a closeout, spiritually, how do you make sure, or how do you satisfy your wife and your protection when it comes to relationships of the opposite sex, from a spiritual point of view?
Relationships are opposite sex. Well, both of us, we have a similar upbringing. Both of us were brought up by both of our parents. We had both of our parents most of our lives together. And even though my parents divorced, my father was staunch about being in my life. So being raised by both of our parents, that was a major connection for us in an understanding and what a family it should be and what a household should look like, because we've experienced it. Dealing with the opposite sex, though, I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
But I think, like you said, living by example, and as a whole, I guess coming from similar backgrounds, because again, we learn scripturally about being spiritually yoked. So I think what happens is that when folks come from similar backgrounds, they also have a similar understanding of what the two of them should bring or are going to bring to the table, not just because they're with that person, this is because what they bring to the table.
Sometimes those equally yoked are equally yoked in trauma. So
yes.
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 Toxic people like toxic people.
Right. So when you get out of a toxic situation and you now meet someone who is balanced, but you don't know that yet,
Can I share something with you?
Do we have time? No.
We might have to go.
Do we have time? We have 2 minutes. Can you do it in 2 minutes?
I can do it in 30 seconds.
All right, share.
So what I've understood is that women, most oftentimes, when we're the healer in the situation, the healer or the empath in the situation, we struggle harder than our male counterpart, because there will be, when the man is broken, there will be women who are willing to help fix, put them back together. When the woman is broken, when the woman is hurting, we have a harder time coming back from that, because the men are not trained necessarily to put the women back together. So the man is the head, we're the neck. But if the male is broken, it breaks the woman in a way that oftentimes will hurt the entire country, because the nation, because we raised the nation. So if we're broken by who we supposed to be serving, right? Because we build and uplift and all those things, then we have to start. Our kings need to be on point on all 64 squares.
Amen.
And when they're not, we suffer a consequence that impacts an entire nation. So
we suffer what now? Say that last.
We suffer at the point when we're supposed to be building the entire nation.
Woo! And I say that all the time, lead by example. you know, as the male, as the head, as that strength.
Yes, ma'am.
Amen. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you. Everyone, let's once again, Puzzle Marketing. Tariq Buzz is visiting the next chapter where we discuss Shades of Grey. Shaniqua Charles from Sharing with Shaniqua. Sharing with Shaniqua. That's how it's called. You know, check her out. She comes on Saturdays, Fridays or Saturdays?
Yeah.
Saturdays, right before me. She said 10, I'm on 11.
9.
You already know. Well, 9 was still not too
Right.
far in between.
Right.
But Sharing with Shaniqua, Tariq Buzz from Puzzle Marketing. I am Minister Cat, a.k.a. Kitty Rose. This is the next chapter. When we come back from this last break of the night, we'll have Did You Know? All right, guys. Thank you guys again so much. I appreciate you both.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
that's
having
what's
us.
up.
Thank you for having us.
I don't remember how it started.
Talk to Dad.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Yep, okay. So you know I had to stay on course to what we were talking about. So this week's Did You Know from the next chapter where we discuss Shades of Grey is 8 steps on how to engage with the opposite sex when you're married. Okay? So, because the goal of dating is to get to know someone enough that they make it to courtship. And then once you get to courtship, you've made a decision that this is someone that you want to get married. So me and Shaniqua were still in that dating stage, but because we are intentional women and now we're going on 3 years in our relationships, I think both of us have the goal of these men becoming our next kings and husbands. So we are heading into that courtship stage of, yes, we know each other now and we're learning how to live amongst what life looks like as a unit. But what can you do when you have the opposite sex in your life that wants to engage or be friends? How do you set the tone or set the boundaries? So, as you navigate your relationships, you should always protect your marriage first. Does that mean that you can't have opposite sex friends once you're married? According to Tariq, no. And Shaniqua said no new friends. But it's Google, since you know they don't necessarily represent us always, says not at all. However, you may have to reprioritize these relationships. You may also need to make some changes so that your spouse knows that your marriage or your relationship is first priority. Boundaries means asking yourself about the state of those opposite gender relationships and how they may impact your marriage. Here is a few helpful things to think about when deciding on boundaries with friends of the opposite sex, the opposite gender. So I'm going to give you 8 steps. Pay attention, take notes, decide to listen, take heed. It's your business. I'm just trying to help. If you wouldn't say it or do it in front of your spouse, then it probably shouldn't be said or done at all. Shaniqua said that. I am big on that. I'm already on the phone listening on my speaker. So yes, if it's of a conversation that can't be held with your partner listening, then maybe you shouldn't be having that conversation. Do not, and this was also mentioned, do not discuss marital issues or your spouse's flaws with others. All right now, the quiet in church, the priest saying, wait, the quiet in church saying amen. Incorporate device transparencies, including passwords in any communication with others. So Natalie in the control room, she says she creates all the all the passwords, and they're all the same. So there's no misunderstanding to whose password is what. Now, me and my beau, we don't have passwords, but we also allow each other, that's a weird word, but we don't have a problem with each other looking at each other's phones. Identify what is appropriate to watch and where is appropriate to go both alone and together. Does that mean you can't hang out with that person? But does it mean that you don't tell your partner where you're at and what you're doing, and even maybe show your partner where you're at while you're doing it with that person? Avoid as much one-on-one time as possible with the opposite sex. At the end of the day, what purpose and reason do you have to spend time with them? Okay, we're celebrating. Ramadan just happened, so now we have this big party and this dinner. I just shared some personal stuff. So that's a reason to celebrate with each other. Steer clear of substance use around mixed gender groups. Create space with your spouse for open and honest communication regarding struggles, needs, and wants in the relationship. Because as we mentioned earlier, it could be a thing of ego, and somebody has to be able to feel comfortable enough to express that with you as your partner. They're going through their own identity and understanding of where they're at and how they're feeling about what they've learned and what they've been privy to and what they even know. So if you're going to be with someone who has a different upbringing or a different understanding, then you have to give them allowances of understanding the same way that you want understanding from them. So create that space that they can be honest with you about how they feel so that y'all can deal with a situation openly and honestly together with complete understanding of overstanding what's actually happening. Because sometimes the other person don't even mean anything. So why are we making that person now mean something? Because is it really that other person, or is it something that's drawing us to that attention that that person is giving us? Be intentional. Step 8. Be intentional and thoughtful in this process. Do not be afraid of creating black and white limits, as they will protect your relationship in the long run. It has to be you and that person. When you allow outside entities to have a say or even a room for argument with you and your partner, that's a clear flag that relationship does not mean you success. If outside entities and outside relationships do not bring your relationships better, uplifting, positive, then you have to question. Matter of fact, it is no question. How about that? They're not for you. On that note, we come to the part of the show that is not my favorite, but is necessary. I need all you guys to continue to follow, like, and share. And for updates, because we coming into that summer season and there's going to be plays and things going on in the city. In order for you to know about those things, you have to join my Facebook group page, The Next Chapter, where I talk about all those things that's going on. Puzzle Marketing, he got some news. He just said he got a promotion. So you want to find out what's going on in his life? You will only know if you check out my Facebook group page. You want to know what's going on with Sharon, with Shaniqua. You got to go to my Facebook group page. So it's important for you to follow, like, and share, and support me online. Once again, everyone, this is your girl, Minister Cat. I still got 4 minutes. Oh, wait, y'all. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Okay, so I can always figure out what to do in 4 minutes. So when I talk to you guys about how to engage with the opposite sex while you're married, remember, those same pointers still apply when you're dating someone in now the courtship stage, because it's about respect. At the end of the day, would you want someone to do something to you that you don't want done? How would you feel if someone had a relationship that you was uncomfortable with? So it's a lot of times it's not always about what you want your partner to do. a lot of times it's putting yourself in that position to say if you would want that done to you. And if you wouldn't want that done to you, then why would you now do that to your partner? Married or not, love is love. So if I love you enough to respect how you feel, how about that? Because sometimes our partners, most times, see things we can't see because we're stuck in our own gratification of wanting to have this relationship for whatever that reason is. So yeah, it's easy to say, oh, they don't mean me no harm. They okay. Then they will show by their actions if they don't mean you any harm. If you have a woman or a man call your partner at, let's not even say 11 o'clock, at 9 o'clock in the evening, and you say to that person on the phone, oh, I'm chilling right now with my lady, or I'm with my girl, or with my wife. In most situations, let me tell you how it works in Kat's world. Kat on the other end calling Tariq at 9 o'clock at night. My first thing is going to be like, oh, my bad. Hey, wifey. It's not that important. I'll talk with you later. Or I was just calling to check on you. I know you had stuff doing. Dun, 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 dun. Good night, y'all. There's a way that we can handle situations that we don't have to cut. But if one says, oh, bye, okay, I'll talk to you. We have to be mindful to how the other person also reacts in situations. Now, if we want to act clueless and we want to be naive, who is that pleasing? Who is that serving? We have to think about those things, folks. We have to take those things into consideration because, again, it goes back to how would you want to be treated? And, all right, the spirit just hit me. Our God, Jehovah is a jealous God. So me as a mere human, how am I going to feel a kind of way when somebody might be inappropriately stepping into a situation that belongs to me out of my love and the work that I'm putting in this relationship? So the same way that the scriptures tell me that there's many gods that I can serve, but the Almighty wants me to give reverence and servants to Him, then how, as a mere human, I wouldn't want that same type of love and devotion? Woo! Yes. You know what I'm saying? So I think we make things complicated. We make things more serious than what they are. And then it becomes serious because we didn't nip it. We didn't set the boundaries. We didn't end something that we wanted to, it's not that serious. Because the devil was always working. The devil is always working. So for us, when we're thinking, it's not that serious, the devil is like, yeah, I'm just breaking away of their relationship because he's not listening or she's not listening. Who do we serve? Who do we serve? And if we do serve ourselves, because ain't nothing wrong with loving yourself and serving your own self, why not keep the peace in your house, bum at the end of the day? Because when you bring outside entities, all that's going to do is disrupt the peace in your house. Who wants that? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is she? Is he? Especially if you say, I ain't even really friends with that person. You don't do nothing with that person. You don't answer the phone. You don't go out with that person. So if that person doesn't mean anything to you, then why do you keep them around? Because I'm going to say, and I'm going to end on this, because we are also responsible to that person. If I talk about leading by example, then how about us also lead by example, but how we show up in relationships? Woo! That's it, everybody. My time is now up. It's your girl, Minister Kat, a.k.a. Kitty Rose. And you have just entered and left or closed out with another episode of The Next Chapter, where we discuss shades of gray. I see you guys next week. Be safe out there. Peace.
Energy, love sincerity, so I take the liberty to take them on a journey lyrically through hallways and alleys, dark days that carry sharp pains and bellies. All days be heavy when you're programmed to survive. Legendary ciphers get the MCs in the jars. The city never sleeps. Slept from 1 to 5 when COVID